Hi everybody, this is Darren. I'm at the Campbell Cabin again. Today I'm down at the wood pile again. I love the wood pile, you know that. So today we're going to talk about the chainsaw. Y'all knew I was going to get to this, right? Because if you ain't on firewood, if you ain't got a chainsaw, and we know that. And today I'm going to talk about chainsaws, and then we're going to talk about how I maintain them somewhat, and how I sharpen them, tighten them up, fuel I use, and how I gas them up, oil them up, and then we might get to a video, might even demonstrate a little bit of running. I don't know, this saw hasn't been running for a couple weeks now, but I know it's going to start. It does every time, at least for the last 24 years I've been running it. So now this is a Husqvarna, or Husqvarna, whatever you'd like to say. I don't know exactly what's proper. I've heard Husqvarna. So it's a 254 XP, and I'll tell you, I bought this saw. I wanted a good saw, and I paid good money for this in 1997. That's right. This saw might be older than some of you watching the video, but I kept it in good condition. I took care of it. I put it in a case. Every time I put it away, it might have cut a couple hundred trees down, a couple hundred trees up, cut up 50 cords of firewood maybe, and it's still running. And I'll tell you why. Because it's a XP model, and the XP is expert, in my opinion. You get what you pay for. Some people just starting to burn firewood, or they might want to burn firewood, or they're just looking at getting a chainsaw. And the big question is, even my friends that know about firewood and all that, they say, well, what saw should I get? What should I get? And I can look at you clearly and say, how much money you got? And if you tell me how much you have, and I say, well, how much do you want to spend on a saw? And I'll tell you, you want to spend as much money as you possibly can to buy a saw. If you can spend $500 on a saw, and that's your absolute highest budget, then you spend $500. You're going to get what you pay for, whether it's a Husqvarna, it's a Stihl, an Echo, and you will get a better saw if you spend more money. It's pretty simple. You get more saw, you spend more money. It's just basic. It's just, and I can tell you, I got questioned about it. You know, I used to build houses back in the day, and we would cut out a whole lot to build a house, and we would cut dozens of trees down on the driveway to get in, and then we would cut out where the house was going to go, and septic and all that. So I wanted something. I wanted something powerful and fast, and boy, this was 254 XP. And it, man, it's fast. It's a fast little saw, and it will cut a lot of wood, and it'll cut it fast. It runs hot. So I can say that I bought this saw because I wanted a saw that would last a long time. And man, see, I didn't think it would last 24 years. I had no idea. I mean, 24 years, that's a long time. And I guess the past 5 years, I've been hoping, well, I have another saw that I bought a couple years after this. I also have a 371 XP. Now, it's kind of like this saw's big brother back then. It's carbureted, and it's an expert model, XP, and that's for the big stuff. And I use that most of the time now because it's got the springs on it, there's isolation, it's much less vibration going through that saw. But when I go out to cut firewood, like all this wood, I would go down to the wood pile and I would gas them both up, clean them both up, sharpen them, tighten the chain. As you can see, it doesn't take a zoom in to see that chain. That chain is way too loose. You see that? I don't know how I let it get that loose. I guess I was getting down to the last couple chunks and I was like, well, I just didn't realize how loose it was getting. I was running that tank of gas out. But I'm gonna show you how to adjust, how to gas it up, how to mix the gas. You might say this is basic chainsaw because not everybody knows about chainsaws. I will say that not everybody's going to spend $500 on a saw. And I understand that. If you're just going to burn 3 or 4 cords in 1 year, and you're just starting out, I feel that you could go to Lowe's and you could buy a nice saw for a few $100, $300, $400, maybe less, and you take care of it, and it'll work. It won't be as fast, near as fast. It'll be half as fast, especially if you get into some big stuff. If you get into some 24, 36 inch or more chunks of oak, you're gonna burn up a saw that you bought at the big box store. If you paid a couple $100, you're gonna burn it up. So anyway, let's get down to it here. So I pulled the saw out of the box here. What do we need? Oh, we need the wrench. We're gonna zoom in on me here, cameraman. I appreciate that. Doing a fine job, big boy. Okay, now, so you can see it's kind of dirty. You see that? And now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna clean it up a little bit. We just took it out of the box, and I don't know, I guess I put that on kind of tight. So I'm going to tell you how we take it apart, and how I clean it up a little bit, and I get it ready for action. And I'm going to kind of do it a little bit smooth here, and I'm going to show you how I clean it up, because this works for me. And I didn't know much about saws when I bought this saw, but I do remember back in 1997, I had a fellow working with me. His name was Steve, and Steve used to be a professional tree man before he built houses, and he taught me about how to sharpen a saw and how to clean it up and all that. Thank you, Steve. Wherever you are, good man. He moved away, don't know where he went. So we'll take the chain off. Now, careful you don't get that thing all twisted up. You'll be all irritated trying to get it untwisted. Now, if you zoom in there, you can see we have a lot of gunk. We have a lot of mess. We have it everywhere. So what you want to do, I recommend, is taking your little tool here and using it to scrape it out of there. That's what I do. A little chisel the dust out of there. Big chunks will come falling out of there. Now some of you might want to take some people take a air hose and blow it off and blast it. Well, I don't have an air hose with me right now. I don't want to blast it in my face either. So we have other tools next to Walmart. We got a little brush here, really thick bristles, rigid. You can see. Now this don't have to be perfect. I'm sure everybody knows that, but I will say you want to get it off of there because you don't want it to just build up forever and really gunk it up, because it gets all caked on there. But I can say this little brush works well. You see all that stuff coming off there? Now, take another little rag here. Yep, we got some stuff here. We got some gunked up here. Can you see that, everybody? Is it zoomed in pretty good? Now, we need to pay special attention to some spots here. You can see right here. I'm going to wipe it off there. We're also going to do the same thing to the bar, because the bar is important also. And I know I'm not a professional tree, I'm not a lumberjack, I'm not a tree specialist, but I do know how to use a chainsaw, and I'm just trying to relay that information to teach y'all how to do it. If you can zoom in right there, you can see this little port. That's very important on the bar. This little hole right there. That's so important because that's where the oil shoots out, and it oils, lubricates the chain, lubricates the bar right there. So that is clear, clean. Okay, now everybody look right here. If you can see right here, this little hole, very important. That little hole right there, zoomed in real close, that little hole connects and it comes out right here. You see this slot? It's more this little hole right there, actually. That little hole right there. Sorry, I misled you there. Dang it. Where's my head? Right there. That little hole right there connects. When you sandwich this tight to the bar, which is sandwiches, that trough goes right there, and it forces oil pressure in this slot. And it fills up with oil pressure, and it pumps it out and through that hole out into the bar. So I will go back here and show you that hole is the hole. Okay, now I haven't had this saw out for a little while. Haven't been using a whole lot this year. But anyway, so now that we have the adjuster pin that goes up into the slot, and we have the studs that hold the bar in tight. Now, this is one very important thing. This is why when you buy a saw, you buy a good saw of a good brand, quality. I like Husqvarna, Stihl. Husqvarna or Stihl. I know that Makita makes really good. I believe they're Doosan or whatever their parent company was. I don't know what the parent company. Dolmar, that's what they are. Dolmar makes Makita. Makita owns Dolmar. So you buy a good professional saw, or even an Echo, you get this here. You get this brake right there. Now, what happens here, this here band right now, the brake is off. When the band tightens up, it grabs the outside of this and stops the chain immediately. So what we're going to do here is release the brake. Now we're going to clean this up a little bit. We're going to make sure that is very important. Around that brake is cleaned out very well. Clean that out there, because I'm going to talk to you about the brake here in a little bit. For those of you that know how to use a saw, professional sawyers, chain sawyers, doing it for years, they understand how valuable that brake is. But this video might not be for them, or they could comment and give me some tips here. I mean, I've been running this saw for 24 years. There's probably some stuff I don't know about it. I'm sure. I don't know. I know it cuts good. It's holding up. It keeps running when I start it. Every time I start it, I have no problem starting it. It's to be a very cold start today, because it hasn't run for a few weeks, I'm pretty sure. Maybe a month, I don't know. Let's see. Okay. See how well the little brush works? There we go. As you can see, there's still some more gunk in there, and I'm not going to let that go. To inspect it to make sure it's working. All that junk's out of that brake. Now, brake is all cleaned out. It's cleaned up, I feel, sufficient, because you don't want it spotless, because you're just going to make it dirty again. Get rid of some of this trash. Clean off the work area here. Nice to have a good table to work on. Anyway, I guess you should probably clean all this up here, because especially around your oil fill and your gas fill, you need to clean that up pretty good. Because if you don't clean around your oil and gas fill, then you're going to get a whole lot of sawdust down in your tank, and you clog up your hose, your sump hose, your pump or whatever sucks that out of there, you'll clog it up. So yes, it does take a little time to clean it up. But is it worth it? Yes. Clean it up. Good enough for who it's for. That's for me. Now, at this point, you can see, looks pretty clean. Okay. What we'll do, go ahead and take this chain here. As you can see, side of the saw, top of the bar always shoots out. The points on the teeth always comes out across the top. Now, you know, some of you guys are laughing at me, but you know what? When I first started cutting wood, I had to think about it. I couldn't remember which way the thing was spinning. So, you can see me here, camera guy. I'm going to put this bar back on here, set the saw up. You want to get on your sprocket. When you zoom in on there's a little sprocket. Take this back off of here. Underneath here, there's a sprocket that grabs the back of this teeth. Back of this teeth. So, get onto that sprocket. Had it on there a minute ago. And then okay. Make sure it's the whole way on there. And always set it up like that. And you see the little pin right there. Can you zoom in on the pin? There's a pin right there that goes right there. That's the tensioner. Stretches it out there. It's on the sprocket. Then we'll put our cover on. Make sure they're going on there finger tight. You don't want to cross thread them. That's not good. Use your handy dandy multi-tool. I'll show you what this tool is used for besides tightening the chain. Okay, so we kind of got it a little snug there for now. Let's see here. Snug it up a little bit. Now, take it around here to the front. Now you see when you pull up on that, you see how much slack we have right there. It's coming out of there. That's too much slop, too much slack. That's not good. We need it to be much tighter. So we're going to come over here to the tensioner, right here. Tension nut. It will move that little tensioner tight to the bar. As you can see it now, the way I've always tightened the chain, pretty snug. So you lift it up. If you can lift it up and it doesn't come out of the trough, you're usually good. Now, lift it up and it does not come out of there by the weight of the saw, good. Maybe just you don't want it too tight. You'll cause excess friction, excess wear. If you don't want it too loose, because you don't want it to come out of there. And a new chain, if you have a new chain on there, you run it a little while, you want to retighten it after maybe a tank or so. Keep retightening it. Now, I'm good for making these too tight. As you can see when I first started, but you want it nice and snug. Okay, now, so we got the saw, we got the chain, everything's tight. It's not coming out of there. It might be a little snug, probably a little snug, but I'm good with that. I'm fine. So, put the saw right here. Now, one of the other uses for this tool, it fits here. Sometimes it opens the gas lid. So, that's good. Because sometimes it will be too tight. You want to make sure your gasket's good. Now, the other end of it opens up. Can you zoom in here? Watch what we got going here. And so, that's your oil. What we're going to do now, we're going to put some oil in it. Might have some. So, we have some fresh oil. So, what I do with the oil, get a nice little hole here. Poke a hole up there. retrieve. All right, you ready, everybody? Can you see this very clearly? Now, this could be messy, so you want to make sure you put just the right amount in there. Bar and chain oil. Fill it up, don't overfill it. That's what I do all the time. I accidentally overfill it, and it's running everywhere. I don't know why I gotta fill it that much that it overfills. So, get to put your cap back on everything. Now, I will show you one more thing. We're out of gas. Oh no, we're out of gas. So, what we'll do, I like to use super gas, high octane. If you have a 50 to 1 professional saw, or anything 50 to 1, I would much rather use super, at least 91 or higher. Now, there's a big controversy about gas. Y'all know about the gas. Ethanol free, non-ethanol. Fill it up exactly to the 1 gallon mark, a little bit more. This is very important. Exactly 1 gallon, not 1.1, 1.3. These mixers are made for 1 gallon exactly. This is precise. This is how your saw will run well with the precise mixture. These little mixer bottles here are, you can see here, we're talking makes 1 gallon exactly. Got it. So simple. Just get the little mixers. They don't cost that much. Make sure it's all out of there. So, we're moving along here. Sometimes I will put the mixer in first. Helps mix it up. If not, close it up. Hey, now we got our gas all mixed up. We got it oiled up. Make sure once again everything's tight, everything's snug, good to go. Now, I'm gonna loosen that just a teeny little bit. Okay, I'm a little happier with that. Now, I will say, like I said, this all hasn't run for a couple weeks. Take choke on, switch on with this saw. Then, basically, put decompression valve pressed. Should run. Now, remember, saw's 24 years old. Take the choke off. And it starts like that every time for 24 years. Okay? That's the basics. That's how you get your saw going. That's how you get it running. and that's how you clean it. And the next video, I guess we'll talk about how we're gonna sharpen the chain. If you could, and you find this useful, this video, if you could subscribe, give me a like, I would appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one.